Good evening, fellow classmates and professor. I have decided to do my project on the movie Facing the Giants. I'm not sure if any of you have seen that movie. I highly recommend seeing it if you haven't. The synopsis of this movie is about a high school football coach. He goes by the name of Grant Taylor. He is at a point in his life or it's just the worst. He's just saw the end of another losing football season. He has an unreliable vehicle, makes it difficult to get where they need to go. He and his wife, are also facing the possibility that they might not be able to have children of their own. And kind of at a time when the interpersonal communications were the most crucial, Grant decided to give his life to God. He got to a point where he realized he couldn't do this on his own, and he gave everything to God, asked God to help him turn his life around. He also encouraged those around him, the other coaches, the players, the parents, and his wife to also give God the glory, win or lose, able to have a child or not able to have a child. God granted Grant the ability, that was interesting to say, to successfully communicate with those in his life. And so God turned Grant's life around. Some of the key theories and concepts that I was able to apply from what I've learned in class as far as theories is the cost-benefit theory and the balance theory. The concepts include faith, facilitative and debilitative emotions, as well as religious influences or values. So one of the first theories was the cost-benefit theory, is also known as social exchange theory. And we work to sustain the relationships that give us the greatest benefit according to our textbook. Grant worked hard at keeping the relationship with his wife, the team, and the coaches. He tried to keep those positive. These are the relationships that Grant benefited most from, both personally and professionally. Despite all the negative in his life, Grant encouraged the players to do their best, and he was also supportive, again, of his wife when they thought that they might not be able to have children. For balance theory, that one's very important for those of us who are in any relationship, but especially marriage. You try to keep a balance. Because the balance theory is about the mode of attitude change that demonstrates the desire to live in a state of equilibrium, always trying to live in the middle. Grant worked toward keeping each of his relationships balanced, and he even came to a point with one of the coaches where he realized that there was not an equal relationship. So he confronted the other coach and basically said, you aren't doing anyone any favors by sitting on the fence. You need to determine which side you're on and stay on it. And that was because Grant was looking at maybe being fired as the head coach, and they kept telling the second assistant coach, you should support us and we should fire him. So some of the concepts that I chose to apply from our textbook are faith. And faith, according to the textbook, is the faith you place in another person, which will grow or weaken over time. In this movie, we were at a point where the faith of others in Grant, the head coach, was weakened. He started out probably having strong faith in him, but then as they come across losing seasons in football, they lost their faith in Grant to be able to give them a winning season. Conversely, faith for the religious portion, Grant increased his faith in God when he got to a point where others might say, God, you're not here for me and you don't support me. He increased his faith in God. Also, the facilitative and debilitative emotions. Facilitative promotes effective functioning, while debilitative does the opposite, which is impedes a person's ability to function effectively. Grant engages initially in debilitative when he sits at the table and he lists all the things that are going wrong in his life, to which his wife counteracts that with her facilitative emotions, and she just looks at him and says, I love you. And so it kind of helped Grant change from debilitative to possibly a facilitative. So lastly, some of the religious influences or values, those tend to value unity, wholeness, and a sense of purpose above human beings. When Grant tells the team to put God first and to give him the honor no matter what. Again, team win or lose, you always give God the glory and the credit. And he also encourages his wife to keep her faith and love God, even though they might not be able to have children. And at one point in the movie, he asks her, do you still honor God and love God even if we can't have children? So he acts as that rock. So again, if you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. And I look forward to doing my final assignment. Have a good evening.